So how do you give a woman what she wants? Well, the first thing you have to do is know what she wants. What she wants is dominance, confidence, and passion. It's what all women want. I mean, here's the thing. I've surveyed a lot of women. I've talked to a lot of couples, and I've talked to a lot of women about the sexual relationship that they're having with the man that they're dating or married to, that they all the things that make them happy about it, all the things that make them unhappy about it. And it's like this is what a woman wants. She wants a man who's sexually confident, who's passionate, which requires a lot of sexual confidence. And dominance and passion are really just displays of confidence, right? Displays of masculinity. And when I say dominance, again, I don't mean necessarily, I probably said this 100 times, I want to make sure I hammer it home. When I say women want a man who's sexually dominant, I don't mean, whips, right? I just mean you're leading. It's simple. And it can be totally gentle. It can be totally sweet. It can be tender, right? It can be so soft. Or it can be, hard and aggressive. That part doesn't matter. What matters is that you're the leader. Here's the other thing that women want. They want what you want. Now, a lot of men who are trying to figure out what women want mean well. They really mean well. And in fact, I went through this phase for sure. And I think that most men who really want to become great lovers go through this phase where, they're so eager to give a woman what she wants that kind of becomes what they're about. And you may have gone through this as well. You may be going through it, or you may have gone through it, maybe you didn't. But chances are, because you're one of my readers, you're really interested in figuring out how to, make sex great for your woman. And so at some point, you probably went through this phase where you thought what made you a good lover, what made you a great guy, was that you cared so much about what she wants. And you'd be like, say things like, baby, what do you want? If you're getting what you want, I'm happy. I'm happy if you're getting what you want. Whatever makes you happy makes me happy. If you're turned on having orgasms, that's what matters to me, right? And that feels like when we say that and we feel that and we say it out loud, we feel like we're a superior guy. We're not like that douchebag. We're the superior guy. And, women are going to dig us for that. And in fact, that turns out to be wrong. That would be what a man would want to hear, right? If we were the woman, a man would love a woman who said that, I just want to be your sex slave, right? We would love that because men are driven towards, freedom of expression, but women are much more driven towards being in the flow of love with a man who's leading. They want to feel like they're just connected to you. So when a woman hears, I'm happy if you're happy, I'm turned on if you're turned on, it's like pressure. It feels like stressful. Like, oh, okay, so what you're saying is if I'm not enjoying this, then you're not going to enjoy it, so it's on me. You're putting this burden on me. Like, I'm going to be the bad guy. I know no guy means it that way, but that's the way it's received by a woman, because women, particularly very feminine women, want to be led into the experience. They don't want to be told, listen, just have great orgasms and that'll make me happy. No, they want to be led into it. And it turns out that what she wants most is for you to get what you want, for you to take what you want, for you to lead into what you want. Here's another way to really give her what she wants. Lean into your edge, but make sure it's your edge, right? Don't just do edgy things to see how edgy you can be. It can be a turn on, Like I said, women like the idea of being led into this kind of edgy, sexy space. So, it can be workable, but it's not the ideal. The ideal is to figure out what your edge is. Now, lean into your edge, by the way, again, I got to give David Deida credit. He's the guy who sort of invented that term. He meant it just throughout everything in your life. But I'm meaning it specifically now, the edge of what you're comfortable with your own sexuality and your own sexual desires. See, if you go over the edge, if you jump out and dive over your edges, I'm going to just do all the crazy shit, right? If you go over your edge, what's going to happen is you're going to lose her sense of safety. She's going to feel that you're out of control, that you're in a state of uncomfortable, you're just trying to be wild and explore your wildness. And when you break her sense of safety, she's going to become uncomfortable with the whole thing. She's going to tighten up and the whole thing is going to, not work out. At the same time, if you don't go anywhere near your edge and you just play in your own personal vanilla space, she's going to feel that too. She's going to feel like the lack of your edgy turn on, right? You're not that turned on by your sort of middle ground, right? So what you want to do is find your edge and get as close as you can while still keeping your groundedness, still keeping, you know, both feet on the ground, like emotionally, like really feeling like you're grounded. You can do this in a confident way. Take it as far as you can and still feel confident and comfortable to lead. And you'll find that that edge gets further and further, right? You're going to be able to go further and further each time. You don't need to jump out over the edge. You'll get there, right? Lean into it. And then, you know, practice. This is not like a thing that you're either leading or you're not leading. Like, don't feel that way. It's not leading or not leading. It's like the more you lead, the better. And the more you lead, the closer you get to your edge. There may be a level of leading you're not yet comfortable with. That's totally cool. Just lead more. It's not like you're either, you know, the world's greatest sexual leader or you're a total loser. It doesn't look that way, right? This is a practice. You want to lean into how far you feel good about leading. And then tomorrow night, you'll be able to go further, right? You'll build confidence, you'll build ease, and you'll build decisiveness over time. And it just keeps getting better and better. And she experiences as, wow, the sex just keeps getting better, right? That's the way she experienced it. And hopefully that's the way you experience it too, because she's going to get more and more turned on as you do this. You get this really positive reward. You get this woman who starts to really get, you know, wild and sexual and horny and crazy and really, you know, comes a lot and enjoys it more and more and screams louder and louder. And afterwards is all dreamy eyed and following you around like a puppy because she loves it, right? So and that's encouraging. That makes it more and more fun for you. So the more you lean into your edge and the more you practice this, the better sex gets. And that's kind of, you know, the beautiful piece of this. So just know that you don't have to get it right. There's no right. There's no perfect in this. There's no perfect. And the first time you do it, your goal is to just be, you know, better at it than the time before. You know, you just keep inviting her into following this and kind of playing on all of these different notes and ways of doing it. And if you're doing it right, it's fun, right? It's fun and it's sexy and it's a turn on. So now I'm going to go into the Q&A, which for me is always the best part, and I think where the most important information comes up. So if you've got any questions, now is the time to bring them. Someone emailed me this question, and I would love to read Larry's question that he wanted me to work into the webinar. And basically what's cool about this particular question is that he basically asked, sort of in a step-by-step way, the question that relates to everything that we just kind of went over. So he asks, what are your best ideas on how to deal with surrender block? Like, you know, she doesn't want to surrender, right? I've learned so much recently about all the things I've been doing wrong that have been killing attraction without even realizing it. Our sex life drifted into mediocrity with her almost never being genuinely turned on, rarely reaching orgasm, and just feeling obligated to have sex to keep me at bay. I was dumb enough to go along with this and let the sex become nothing more than robotic mechanical missionary, as she would pull the orgasm out of me as fast as she could to get it over with and check the box for another week or two. Sounds pathetic, I'm sure, but I'm sure it's not all that uncommon for married couples in their 40s with 4 young kids. Not only is it not uncommon, I honestly, Larry, not only is it not uncommon, I think it's A, common, and B, it's what a lot of men would call a good sex life. You know, their wife doesn't even want to, like, you know, check the box for them because she genuinely doesn't respect or like him, which your wife does, as we discover in the next paragraph. So actually, you know, it's not pathetic. That's the way a decent sex life looks for a lot of people. And I'm so glad that you're in a space now where, you know, you're getting more, and you know, it's super cool that you're here working on this stuff. So fast forward to where we are in real time, thanks to your good work and that of several others in your field. I've made a bunch of changes in and out of the bedroom to establish masculine leadership in our relationship where I'd let it lapse, to create better polarity and to refocus on connection from the heart, which is really exactly what this webinar is about. I've told her multiple times recently that the sex is no longer going to be just about my orgasm. Instead, we're going to reframe it together so it's as much about her pleasure as mine. I'm seeing encouraging signs of progress, but I'm struggling to get her to want to change out of the old routine. She just can't seem to get out of her head and relax into lovemaking. So before I continue, I kind of want to dig that little piece there. Habits are hard to break. Even the habits we want to break, and of course, any habit we're trying to break is a habit we want to break. They're hard to break. Humans are habit-forming creatures, and so she's begun to link sexual arousal or sex with all of this other stuff. So give her time. Give her time. Understand that like even a small move away is the beginning of the big move away. Like if you've got any movement at all, then you're good to go. Be patient because you're good to go. It's no movement that's a problem. That's entrenched, right? But you're already seeing signs things are better. You're on the right track. It's super encouraging. Habits are hard to break, and understand that this thing about getting out of her head and into lovemaking has a lot to do with this dominance thing. Because for most women, the orgasm issue, the difficulty with having orgasm, often is being in her head, just like it is. For men who have difficulty having an erection, it's because they can't get out of their heads, right? So it's just the same exact thing. And getting out of your head is like a big deal when you're stressed, and you might want to create a space where, you give her a massage first and kind of do other things to get her out of her head, or do something super playful first. Have a big pillow fight, a tickle fight. Those things get her out of her head. In other words, don't transition from work day to, okay, arousal time. Transition from work day to play, to tickling, to silly, to fun, to sexy, to aroused. You know what I mean? Like give her a better progression, because getting out of your head is difficult. But the main thing, the really powerful way to get her out of her head is to get her into yours. That's the best way to get her out of her head is to get her into yours, which means all of this leadership, like every single slide, every single step, go through it and go do these things. Every one of them is a do thing, right? We have an incredibly strong relationship outside of the bedroom, rich with safety and security on many levels, so it makes the absence of sexual trust all the more frustrating, right? So here's why your sex life isn't completely dead, right? Because you have safety and security on so many levels. And yeah, of course, that makes the absence of sexual trust more frustrating for both of you, though. And to the degree that you begin to have confidence in your leadership, she'll begin to have more sexual trust for you. So really, the more you're, and it's a weird little paradox, it's a weird thing to get right in your head, the more that you're in the conversation in your head of, is she surrendered? Is she surrendered? Is she surrendered? Is she in her head or is she with me? The more you're in that conversation, the less you're in your body and the less you're in your confidence, right? So of course there's a give and take here. You don't want to just do your thing without bringing her along, but this idea of how you generate sexual trust has a lot to do with your confidence around just creating a safe, playful, fun, sexy space with her and not trying to drive her towards orgasm. You can't force somebody towards surrender. You have to invite them towards surrender. You can't force surrender, right? You just have to keep creating the safe space for her to fall into. You just keep creating it and keep creating it and keep creating it and make it fun, make it juicy, make it pretty, make it beautiful, make it an ideal. And then little by little, she'll begin to kind of, loosen herself into this until it becomes more and more easeful and comfortable. And then it begins to snowball because it's super fun for her. It's very enjoyable for her. And so it begins slowly, but then it picks up a lot of speed, a lot of velocity until it becomes very natural for her. And I think really everything in this webinar is going to be super useful for you. I think everything in here speaks directly to what your issue is. And I hope that was helpful. So I am going to get back now to the guys who are here. James, what's on your mind, buddy?
Well, I still have a little bit of trouble identifying and working on the line of distinction between being dominant and assertive and falling into the controlling type of mode. And sometimes end up falling over that cliff.
Well, they're related to some degree, and that's why, right? So there's a point where you can do controlling, you're doing controlling, and she loves it, right? So that's why it's kind of complicated, right? This is not, it's not like, math. Math is like it's either this or it's not this. It's either this or it's not this. And psychology and emotions are just, messy. They're just a fucking mess. And as men, we're looking for it to either be this or it's that. And I wish, I wish it was. But the truth is you got to feel your way into this. This is much more like, music and poetry and a lot less like rocket science. So ultimately, controlling can be really good. I mean, she can really... women love it when you really take control, and yet when you tell them what to do, they're like, don't tell me what to do. In your daily life, your unaroused, unsexual life, controlling is terrible, and it will make her resist it in your sex life because people don't want to be controlled, and humans are of equal value. Women are not in any way inferior to men, and when it comes to like the daily do of life, controlling sucks, and then it'll make her very resistant to sexual control. So you got to really watch that stuff. You can be the nicest guy, the most giving guy, and she can be totally dominant in many areas of your life other than the bedroom. Maybe she's like boss in the kitchen, or she's the boss at the checkbook, or she's wherever she's the boss. I don't know. Maybe she's not the boss anywhere. But that doesn't matter. It's like you don't want to be that controlling guy because then she resists it in the bedroom. But in the sexually aroused place, all those rules are gone. Like things are different, It's like I had a teacher once who was saying to me, the erotic state is so different because a lot of things that are disgusting to us in the unaroused state are like desirable in the aroused state. You don't want your nose a half an inch from somebody's ass most of the time. Right? But when you're making love, that can be hot, right? I mean, but why is it hot here and it's not hot there? Because the aroused state is totally different. It taps into a different part of the brain, a different part of the animal. So understand that controlling is different in sex, but you can't like control her into arousal, but if she's aroused, control is hot and sexy. Is that helpful at all?
That did. That helped quite a bit. I think that point about being different outside of the sexual situation and then a little bit different inside of it makes a lot of sense. Because I've been accused a lot of times of being controlling, but that's mostly on outside stuff, like the checkbook and that sort of thing.
Yeah, right. And it's like you're not bad and wrong if you're a controlling guy, by the way. I mean, I'm not going to make you bad and wrong. I mean, you just might be a really alpha dominant guy, and that's cool. But just know it pisses people off, right?
Gotcha.
Yeah. So to the degree that you can be more invitational, and it's also a matter of what's effective in life. Like what's effective. I think if you really want somebody to do something for you, and you order them to do it, and you have the right to order them, like you're paying the paycheck, then you can do that, and you may get it done. It might get done. But if you're not paying the paycheck, man, it's really like. People really don't like to be told what to do. They fucking hate it. So it's an ineffective way to do things. But some of us do that because it was the way we were raised, or our dad was that way, and we're testosterone poisoned. I mean, when I was younger, I did that a lot. So I get it, But I stopped because it wasn't effective. You get what you want more if you invite people, if you create a vision for them and then invite them in. And then they're happy to do it.
Got it. I also liked your dancing analogy with the turns and the dips and stuff like that. That made a lot of sense in answering my question too.
Yeah, it's just the same, and it's so playful. It's so playful in dance, right? When you spin her and then you spin her again, you spin her a third time. She's like, "Stop it!" Right? It's playful. And sexual dominance can be really playful. It can be super playful. It's so much fun for her in all of its different flavors. And there are men who just they play the one note, like they're playful all the time, or they're kind of like dark and sexy all the time, which is great. If you're sexually dominant in even one flavor, there's a woman out there who goes, man, that was the best sex I ever had. Like even if you can only do it in one flavor, most women want that again. But if you can do it in a lot of flavors, then you're really then you're her sexual obsession. Then it's really like, she thinks about sex, your face comes up because it's all beautiful in that space.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. I'm gonna remute you, but stick around. And look who it is, my friend Knut. How are you, buddy?
Hey man, can you hear me?
I can.
I have a very short question today, actually. Let me see, I wrote it in the chat box.
In the chat box, huh?
Yeah, it's about if you're being dominant with a girl and you're leading her during sex and stuff. Is it still okay to ask her during sex if she's alright with what you're doing? For example, if she's the type of girl that likes to be slapped in the face or being beaten, or if you're taking initiative to anal sex or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Is it still okay to occasionally during the act to ask her if she's still alright with doing it? Or do you come across as needy or insecure because you're not being dominant when you're asking if she's still okay or comfortable with doing it? Like, do you get the question?
Got it. Yeah. So no, it's not okay. No, I'm kind of kidding. Kind of kidding. Everything's okay.
Yeah.
Everything's okay. I mean that on such a deep level. Like, everything's okay. And if you're really trying to learn how to do this stuff, that's not okay. Right? That's kind of tentative. Now, there's different ways to say, is this okay? Is this okay? You comfortable with this? And one of them is needy, right? There's a way to be like, is this okay? Do you like this? Because I can stop if you don't like this. We don't have to do this, but is it, right? That's one way of asking, right? And there's another way of just whispering in your ear and going, do you like this? Is this okay?
Uh-huh.
Do you like this? Is this okay? Right? You know what I mean? There's nothing needy about that. Like, now you're creating this kind of like space for her to emotionally explore the crazy shit that's going on to her body, right? So there's different ways of doing everything, and there's no right or wrong answer. You know what I mean? So there's different ways to do it. That said, the best way to know if she's okay with what you're doing is just to like pay attention to it, right? It's just pay attention. She'll let you know. She'll let you know. So if you begin to slide out of her vagina and then begin to press against her anus, she knows what's up. You don't need to ask, is this okay? You're going to know, right? Now she may go, huh, right? And that doesn't mean it's not okay. That doesn't mean it's not okay. That means, oh my God, he's going to do that? He's going to do that? Am I okay with this? So now that's probably the question she's going to be asking. Am I okay with this? Like, that would be the natural question for her to ask in her mind. She's not going to say it out loud. And the answer to that question has to do with your confidence in being okay with it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
What if a girl, if you try to initiate anal sex and you start with the fingers and everything so that she kind of gets the idea without it being spoken verbally?
Yeah.
And you then go slowly with the penis, with the dick, and trying to, push it gently against the anus.
Yeah.
And then slowly trying to move it in, like going forward very, very slowly and gently and getting a feel for it. And the woman still doesn't give off any bad signals.
Yeah.
But she's being very silent. She's not saying anything, but she's not saying no. She's not kicking. She's not doing anything that suggests that she.
Yeah. Here's the deal, man. Here's the deal. I got it. So she's being sexually submissive, but you're not sure she's enjoying it.
Yeah, because she doesn't give off positive.
Yeah. Got it. So there's a couple of things going on here. One is show her your arousal, right? Really be clear of how hot it is for you. That might be very encouraging for her. Like, there are women who are just quiet. They're sexually submissive. I teach a lot of stuff about how to get around that too. It's not directly to this program, but when you make a lot of noise and you're very passionate, and you tell her how hot it is. That liberates her. You know what I mean? That liberates her to say a few things. And then if you're really paying attention, you'll have a sense of whether she's like, I just have to do this because I have to do this, and she's being submissive. Or if she's enjoying it, like, you should be able to kind of feel the difference. yourself. If you're too tuned in to, does she like this? Does she like this? Is she liking this? Does she like this? Then what she feels from you is like this kind of emotion of listening. You know what I mean? So the game I want you to play is to be tuned into her, like be aware of her. You're dancing with her, like be aware of where her body is, but make your move, right? Make your move. Like what is it you want? And then feel it and be passionate and love it. So instead of like being like, is this okay? Is this okay? Instead of that, how about you're also like nibbling on her neck and stroking her hair and telling her how hot she is? You know what I mean? Like that's different. It's a different scenario, isn't it? And that encourages her to like really dig it. And you could, of course, if you're just like, well, this woman is indecipherable. There's nothing wrong with kind of whispering in her ear, like, tell me what this feels like for you. You know, do you love this? What's it feel like to have my cock inside you? You know, play, make it fun. Don't come from a place of insecurity if you can avoid it, right? And if where your edge is that makes you insecure, then don't do that yet. Like work your way up. Remember, lean into your edge. Don't just jump over it, right? Keep your feet grounded. But it sounds like, most of the time, if a woman doesn't like what you're doing, she's going to say, I don't like that. Okay. You don't need to be, like I said, don't be pushy. You don't need to be pushy. We all have our edges, right? And you've just found hers. But, if she's not freaking out, then chances are she is liking it. And she may be grappling with a lot of stuff in her head. She may be like, I kind of want to do this, and it kind of feels good, but I think it makes me a bad girl, and I think, this may make me bad and wrong. And if, would a nice girl do this? Maybe this is terrible. I shouldn't be doing it. So she may have some emotional confusion in there herself. And then, as she's kind of in this emotionally confused state, she ends up sort of in this paralysis. And then you're feeling her paralysis, and she's feeling you're listening to her paralysis, And then the place where you go is not just leading in physicality, but leading emotionally. Like I said, nibbling on her neck and telling her it's fun. And then she'll believe you, right? Usually. But it's, again, human psychology is a big, messy thing. I saw you dropped off for a second there. I don't know if you missed some of that explanation, but if you did, you're going to have to listen in the replay.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
All right. Thank you. Got any more questions?
I have a lot, but I'm not going to keep going here. So.
Okay. So I actually, guys who are typing in the chat box, I got some bad news. I can't see the chat box for some reason. You never know what's going to happen with this funny system. Let me see if I click chat. Yeah, that didn't do it. Let's see if I click this other chat if something comes up. No, nothing comes up over here either. So I think if you really, really want your question answered, you should have come on live. All right, fellas, I do believe that's a wrap. Thanks so much, guys, for coming on live, especially you guys who asked live questions. As always, I'm just so deeply appreciative of your participation, and I hope you guys enjoyed this webinar. I will have it up on replay just as quickly as I can, and then the edited version, the final version, I will email you as soon as it's ready. I'll give you some access to that. That'll be way smoother and easier to listen to. I'm also at that point going to give you a copy of the PowerPoint, so you can just kind of follow along. That will also make your life a lot easier. So thanks again, guys, for coming. This is Alex Allman, and I will talk to you again very, very soon. Thanks.